In this video, I'm going to show you how to identify whether or not two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither, and I will help you understand by justifying or giving reason for why I state that. So as I'm looking at the first two lines, this set of lines, I want to compare my slopes. So if the first line has a slope of 4 and the second line has a slope of -1/4, if these are equal to each other, we would pick parallel. If they are opposite signs and reciprocals, meaning like a fraction flipped upside down, it would be perpendicular. And then if it is neither of those two things, so maybe not opposite signs or not perfectly reciprocal, then we would pick neither. But this is a positive, this is a negative, and this would technically stand for the fraction 4/1. So this is a flip and reciprocal, which would mean perpendicular. And maybe I'll put opposite reciprocals. Okay, now for the second question, I'm looking at a slope of -6 compared to +6. Now these are opposite sign, but they are not a reciprocal, a flip of each other. So they cannot be perpendicular. They also cannot be parallel because parallel would be exactly the same, and these are not exactly the same. So I'm going to use neither in this case because it is not opposite reciprocals and they are not identical. Now for my next one here, the top function is not written in slope-intercept form, so I would highly recommend that you write it in the correct form, 1/2 x plus 11. That's your slope-intercept form. So I'm looking at my slope of 1/2 compared to a slope of 1/5. These are not identical, and they are not opposite signs or your fraction flipped upside down from one another. So actually, I wrote that down wrong, didn't I? Look, Miss D made a mistake. Can you see what this fraction is? It is actually 1/5, and I read it wrong. So it would be helpful to double check your work like I did, because every once in a while, we do go a little too fast and make some mistakes. So let's fix that. 1/5 x and 1/5 x, those are identical. I'm glad I took a double look. These would be parallel. Okay, now these next two, y is equal to 7 and y is equal to -9. Again, I want to repeat this phrase that I had used in some other videos. Horizontal lines have 0 slope and they are always y equal to a number. Vertical lines have v for vertical lines, have u undefined slope, and they are x equal to a number equations. Both of these lines are horizontal lines. So if we were to make a quick graph, y is equal to 7 up here and y is equal to -9 down there. So these two lines would be parallel because they are both horizontal lines, and all horizontal lines have 0 slope, identical slope. In this function here, we want to rewrite it into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to first transform my function. So if I have 2x plus y is equal to 5, if I subtract my 2x to the other side, I'll have my y equals mx plus b form. So -2x is my mx term and plus 5. So I need this slope of -2. And then for my other function, this one, if I solve for y, I should add 3x to both sides. So I'm going to save a little space by doing that switch here. So I'll have 6y is equal to a 3x term plus the 36 that was already there on the other side. And now divide every term by that coefficient in front of that y, which was 6. And we'll have 1/3 x, I'm sorry, 1/2. 3 goes into 6 2 times, so let me fix that error. And 36 divided by 6 would be plus 6. So I'm comparing -2 to a +1/2. Well, they are opposite signs, and if I wrote this as a fraction 2/1, they are reciprocals, which would mean that these two lines are perpendicular. All right, if you want to have a challenge here, Pause the video, solve both of these equations for y, and decide, are your slopes parallel, perpendicular, or neither? And then you can go back and hit play and check your work. All right, so let's see if you got the right answer here. I'm going to take my first equation and I'm going to solve it for y. And I'm going to do that by adding 2x to the other side of my equal sign. So I have 7y is now equal to a positive 2x because I moved it over, and then minus 21. And now I need to divide by 7 to solve for y. So y is equal to 2 over 7x minus 3. So the slope in this equation is what I need to compare with the other equation. So now this second equation, again, solve for y. 7x minus 2y is equal to 6. I'm just copying that down. Now I will subtract 7x to the other side. So I have negative 2y is equal to a negative 7x slope term and plus a y-intercept of 6. But now if I divide by that coefficient of negative 2, I will have y is equal to positive 7 over 2x and minus 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So now I'm comparing my slopes for parallel, perpendicular, and neither. Well, these are not identical, so they cannot be parallel. And perpendicular requires that they are opposite in sign. These are opposite, they are reciprocal, but the signs are not opposite. So no opposite sign. So they cannot be perpendicular, which means neither is our option. These lines are not parallel or perpendicular.